To better identify the historic role the Waco Suspension Bridge played in the early days of the cowboy, a generous gift by Clifton and Betsy Robinson of a larger-than-life-size trail boss and longhorn has begun what will soon be a massive bronze display throughout the Indian Spring Park area featuring a total of 3 cowboys and 25 longhorn cattle.
Back in 1866, when a young trapper slash buffalo hunter by the name of Jesse Chisholm put together many wagon loads of buffalo hides. They were trying to find the best market, and they had heard that Wichita, Kansas was the best market, so he basically blazed a trail with these wagons, and being overloaded, they left deep ruts all the way from here up to North Texas, up to Fort Worth, and crossing the Red River into Indian territory then, and left these big trail. So it became, a few years later, a guidepost for the cattle drivers, and they aptly named it the Chisholm Trail after Jesse Chisholm. I understand that he only made actually one trail drive himself, but still, he's the namesake of the trail itself, and he was Irish and Cherokee, if my memory serves. But anyway, that opened up the trade route then for the cattle business. And I want to point out one thing on the side of this steer back here is the Waco City logo. Of course, that was not dreamt of at that time, but the neat thing about it was it's called a road brand. Now on the flank of the steer around here, there would be individual ranch brands there, but they were all commonized, the commonality of the road brand with a particular outfit. In the case of a stampede or whatever, and there were other outfits 5 miles, 10 miles back down the road, and if they all got together, it was sometime weeks before they could sort through the cattle. But when they started using the road brand, that made it contiguous amongst that particular outfit. And so that became a prominent thing, and they would use anything. Some of the trail bosses put the girlfriend's name on the side. If it was short, like Judy or Ann or something like that. And I saw a picture of one time, it had Fool on it, F-O-O-L. It could be anything. It was an identifier. It was an identifier for that particular herd. And most people just don't realize, they see the Western movies and everything, here's this trail drive going to market. But what they didn't show in the movie is 10 miles back, there's another trail herd. 10 miles behind that was no. It was like a thoroughfare, and so. But when they get to the Red River, and if it was swollen, and a lot of times it was, because that's when the prime time for moving the cattle in the spring, and when it got up out of the banks, they would lose many cattle and quite a few drovers as well. So it was not. It was told best to me by an airline pilot, and I were talking about. He said, "What do you think about that?" What do you think about trail drives, and describe to me, and I did, and he said, it sounds like an airline pilot's job. I said, how do you figure that? And he said, because it's hours and hours and days of boredom followed by intermittent moments of sheer terror. And that pretty much delineates what a trail drive was. And anyway, I'm just really pleased to be a part of this, and it's exciting. I can already in my mind's eye see the others that will be going in here. Over here will be the Vaquero, and the African American will be down this way, about to where that second tree is down there, and the Longhorns will come in and swing in, circling in, showing the way to the bridge, the entry to the bridge. And it'll just be kind of a way of focusing attention to the bridge, as well as interactive for kids really like to get up on there and have their pictures made setting up on top of those steers. I hope the city doesn't frown too much on that, because it's kind of a neat deal to have the interactiveness of it. Again, this being part of the Chisholm Trail, Chisholm and the Shawnee Trail, I understand, came through here too, and the Western Trail. And the bridge that was built a few years before that, was just basically sitting here because they were waiting on civilization to catch up to them, the railroads and this and that, and to get some revenue from the cost of the bridge, get some of the revenue back in the coffers of the city, they elected to make it a toll bridge, and so they would charge a few cents a head, I understand, per steer to cross here, which saved a lot of trouble, them having to swim 5,000 or 10,000 head across, because if those longhorns get spooked, they're going to trample one another, and you may lose 5-6%, and I've heard as high as 8% at certain times. I think that would be very excessive, but even 4% loss, because this was business. You know, it's not just Western movies. This was business. The men that owned the cattle wanted to get all of them there and as fat as possible. That's one thing I really like about this. They told me, well, you can make a little fatter longhorns if you want to. In Dallas, they wanted them scrawny. That was not the object. The object was to get them, the beeves, to market as good a condition, as fat as possible. And so anyway, that's basically, to me, the significance of this whole thing is that they're lining up to get ready to pay their toll and cross the Brazos.